Let's talk in just a little more detail about what is happening in this project and dispel some of the magic that's happening. We ran JSPM init earlier. JSPM then created a JSPM packages folder in our web root folder. This JSPM packages folder is where JSPM will install libraries and frameworks that we want, including the script files for Aurelia when we get to Aurelia. But JSPM also installs some libraries and files right from the start when we use JSPM init. One of these files is system.js. As I mentioned earlier, this is a universal module loader, and it relies on another file that we see inside the web root folder, the ES6 module loader. These files are providing an API that is based on future specifications for module loaders in the browser. So we're not working with a library that has an API that someone came up with on their own. We are working with a proper JavaScript module loader that gives us an API and a runtime for today's browsers that should match the API and runtime provided natively by browsers of the future. System.js and the ES6 module loader are what we call polyfills. They are filling holes in the browser until all the specifications are final and all the browsers match the specification. Specifically, what System.js will do is provide a standard global object. It is named System. We can reference it from our scripts. And System provides an API to import and load JavaScript modules. Here we are asking for the module named app. And if you've worked with AMD or CommonJS modules in the past, this syntax is very similar. I don't need to specify the .js extension. I just ask for app, and the module loader will find app.js in the same folder. In fact, System can find many modules because I've included both system.js and config.js on this page. Config.js can be a little scary when you first see it, but the good news is that you don't need to maintain this file, other than perhaps changing a few options. It is JSPM that will create and maintain this file. And this is one of the reasons that JSPM is a useful package manager in this new world of JavaScript, because not only will JSPM install a framework like Aurelia and put it on my file system, it will also make entries inside of config.js so that at runtime, the module loader will be able to locate Aurelia and make the right kind of HTTP request to fetch JS files. You can see there's all sorts of information in here about versions and paths. So while system.js provides the module loading, config.js provides the mapping between framework names and locations on the file server. And that's everything that we need to use standard JavaScript modules today. And modules are fantastic. They really change how you think about putting together an application, as we'll see with Aurelia. But there is one more piece that has to happen when these chunks of JavaScript code, like an app.js load. They have to be transformed from this future JavaScript syntax into ES5 syntax, because not all browsers understand this particular syntax. And fortunately, the module loader can transform this code on the fly as it is loaded from the server. It's doing that with the Babel transpiler that we selected when we ran JSPM init. Later in this course, we will look at transpiling and bundling files to get better performance on the client, so we'll have most of the work happen before the script gets loaded over HTTP. But for right now, let me flip over into the application. And in the Chrome debugger, you can actually see the code before and after. Here, if I open up app.js, this is the source code that I wrote, and I can set a breakpoint on say hello, and I can refresh, and I can actually step through the code that I wrote. And I can step into functions and I can inspect variables, and all of this is through source maps that are provided. So the development experience is great, but I can also see here in app.js, bang, eval. This is the transformed code that is actually executing in the browser. It is not the prettiest code, but I would rarely have to dig into this code because I can debug and inspect variables through app.js, the original source code file that I wrote. So I hope this gives you just enough idea about what is happening inside of JSPM packages and config.js and system.js to feel comfortable using this technology. It's all here really to open up the world of ECMAScript 2015 and make it available to use today, even on older browsers that don't understand this new specification.